Hello, hello, hello. I have no idea if this is working or not. I can see it on YouTube, but I can't see it in Facebook. So I have no idea whether that's working or not.
Let's have a look.
Facebook. Yes. Whilst you take a look, I'll just rabbit on for a bit if that's all right. Hello everybody. It's me, Nathan Wrigley, back again with some very nice guests, as you can see, and I'll point at them in a minute, but they can tell you all about them. But before all of that, it just suddenly occurred to me that when this whole thing begins, I never say go and tell people we're doing it. So I'm saying that. Go and tell people that we're doing it, because it might be nice. You know, you might have a friend who's into WordPress and who might enjoy something like this. And so the link for that, let me just find it. The best thing is probably this. If you're in our Facebook group, if you're watching it there, you have to be a member, obviously, of that group to watch it. So it might not be the best place if you don't know if they're a member of our Facebook group, in which case you could send them to wpbuilds.com/live, and that's a YouTube feed. So yeah, if you feel like getting onto Twitter and telling people that we're doing it, I'd really appreciate that. That would be most helpful. I'm only going to be talking for like the next minute, so why don't you just scurry off and do that quickly? That would be most appreciated. Thank you very much.
I'm going to go and do that now.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I'll point to an empty chair. No, that would be lovely. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. We are going to be covering the WordPress weekly news, so everything that happened between this time last week and this week. We've selected some of the stuff that is of most interest. We'll talk about some of it. We'll talk about some of it in depth, and other bits we'll just bypass because they're too politically toxic. So, yeah, we've already highlighted what that one is. But yeah, let me share my screen and that's not sharing my screen. There we go. So this is us, WP Builds. We do a podcast each and every week, and then we do this news each and every week. You can find the latest podcast episode here. It's with the lovely James Rose. And then if you go to this link, subscribe, you can find us on your favorite podcast player, join our Facebook group, Twitter, and all the good stuff, and sign up to these email lists. This one tells you about stuff that we produce, and this one tells you about deals when they come out. Okay. And then what else have we got? This is our deals page. If you go to this one here, this is a searchable, filterable list of WordPress deals, and they're there all the time. They never go away. So all of these have been here since the day I put them on. Really nice of the product owners to let us have those codes. So go and check it out. And last but by no means least, we've got this news archive, which looks like this. And it will obviously show you the archive of all the news that we've done. This week is this one. And it looks a bit like this. It was number 120. Right. Enough of me jabbering on. Let me introduce the guests that we got on this week. It'd be nice for you to see them. Let's first of all turn off that little banner and say hello to Berhard Gronau. Hi there, Berhard. Tell us about yourself and all of that good stuff. He's there. I got it right.
Yeah, you got it right. Easier this time. Well, working on my own little company for clients. Just had today a nice talk with one of them. So yeah, I told you so before, but now you realize yourself it would have been a good idea. But well, we all know how it goes. It's one of the lucky days if they at least realize that you told them something beforehand and they didn't recognize it. Yeah, and then helping out with pods, promoting pods, because it's a great free tool. So that's the main things I'm doing.
Yeah, I think Pods is a great free tool. If you haven't checked it out, go and just Google WP Pods or pods.io. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go to pods.io and check it out. And then, of course, we've got the ever-present, the guy, he's here just about every week, and it's Paul Lacey. Hello, Paul.
Hello, you all right?
Yeah, very good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing all right. Paul here from the Dickybird Studio, a UK-based WordPress agency. And yeah, I'm doing all right. Busy day today. It's Monday today, and we had a busy day on Friday as well. And so I've been on the phone a lot today, like Berhard was saying. We're having some really nice conversations with clients, which is good, actually, because I've noticed there's so much anger these days in the world. It is nice when you can enjoy talking to the people you work with, as well as and helping things move forward. I think that is a wonderful thing about working in WordPress and in creative sector, that no matter the situation that's going on, you're always creating. Do you know what I mean? You're always creating something, moving forward to something. So blessed to be doing this kind of work, really. So looking forward to the show today as well.
Yeah, that's nice. Nice way to describe your work. That's lovely. Right, let's just say a few hellos.
Yeah, usually it totally sucks.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. By Wednesday, if we did this on Wednesday,
different situation altogether.
So depressing. Right, a few hellos. Hello, Sabrina. Sabrina. Oh yes, Sabrina and I will be here this time tomorrow, because Sabrina and I are doing this 0 to 10K plugin installs. You can literally come here to this exact same spot tomorrow, and we'll be here talking about how it's gone. I've done my homework, I think. Have I? I can't remember. I have to do it tonight if I haven't. Anyway, there we go. Hughes says it's working. Thank you, Hughes. So does Chris. And Heinrich pointing out that it was working on YouTube. Thanks for that. Matt. Hello, Matt. No glasses, no party. Who's missing the glasses? Who was missing the glasses? And Jewel, who was on last week from Fluent Forms, is saying hello. Is Nathan drinking a pint of vodka? Man alive, can you imagine if that could be vodka? Not only could I not drink a pint of vodka, I don't even think I'd. Yeah, I hate vodka. No way. Paint stripper. I am turning into DIY man. I spent a long time this weekend doing DIY. But anyway, that's not what you're here for. Let's talk about WordPressy stuff, and let's get on to the actual main bit of news. As always, if you two guys want to interrupt, please do. And as always, if you've got something you want to say, please stick it in the comments. Now, there's no expectation that you're going to sit here and literally watch all of this. But if you want to park it over on a different tab whilst you get on with your emails, or fiddling with Elementor or whatever it is that you're doing, keep the audio on, and then just flip back in and give us a comment when something nice happens. Okay, so this is it. This is what we got this week. And this first little piece is always in the WordPress Core section. Whatever we talk about first is always WordPress Core. And we got a really nice update mentioned by Justin Tadlock, this piece here. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the fact that this was coming, but now it has actually come. This is Gutenberg 8.4, which landed today. And the big one is this. Honestly, praise the Lord. This is cool. So this is native image editing inside the block editor. I mean, it's not Canva, it's not Photoshop, but it might do just enough to make it so that your clients no longer have to phone you up asking for you to move the cat slightly to the left, because they can now move the cat slightly to the left all by themselves. So it's pretty basic. You've got aspect ratio stuff. You've got a zoom control. You can rotate the image. You can zoom in, place it top left, center left, bottom, all of that stuff. And it's totally going to be in Core really soon. So I think this is a huge development for WordPress. I'm sure other CMSs have stuff like this. I don't know for certain, but I bet they do. And this dropping into Core just seems dead cool. Are you going to let your clients play with this, guys?
They will do. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it makes a really nice change, and this isn't like a negative comment against the block editor at all. So look at something like that and have like a really positive feeling about the user interface and think that looks good.
Sorry, I made it go away. There we go.
Yeah. For those people only listening, because Nathan told them to turn the screen off, there's a very nice user interface showing how you can edit the different photos, but it looks intuitive. It just looks like it's going to work, and something that I love it when you get a feature that you feel like you would have used for the last decade had it been there.
Yeah.
So that to me is one of those features.
I'm not entirely sure I mean, some of these buttons seem fairly intuitive. I haven't actually played with this in the wild, but I'm guessing you've got undo, redo. I don't know what this edit means. I'm guessing that's some kind of edit thing. Or is this simply that? No, this is just Gutenberg, isn't it? I'm guessing. I don't really know. Anyway, this is what the UI will look like, and it's really nice. I just think it's going to be beautiful. I did see a video of somebody playing with it, and it worked as you'd expect. There are a couple of, well, I say a couple. There's quite a few orientations and aspect ratios out of the box. Here they are. You can pick 4 different landscape, 4 different portrait, and a square one. It just seems really nice. Anything to say about that, Berhard, before we go on and talk about multiple blocks?
I think the last time I was on, I did tell plenty about it. It's a love-hate thing with Gutenberg. I don't know. It's great to have the opportunity for the users. On the other hand, all the additional images may be created on the server, and the optimizing of that and stuff. It's always like I don't know, the workflow where it got. I'm not sure. I love my Beaver Builder because it's and I have images prepared for it, so it's different. But I think for the hands, to put something in the hands of clients, maybe for all those newsletter type or news postings, yes, of course. Why not?
right, and that presumably is the purpose, right? It's somebody that wants to just create a featured image, or I don't know, they're creating a blog post about, in this case, mountains, and the picture that they've got, they have zero skills with Photoshop, and they've got, I mean, I'm sure you all have clients who literally don't know what to do with an image. They wouldn't have the faintest idea that they could manipulate it or how to do that, and the basics of this being included in Core just seems really good. To speak, Chris writes, I've tried it. I've not seen what it does behind the scenes to the images yet. My understanding, Chris, and this may not be what you're asking, is I believe it saves a new version of the image. That is to say, it's not using CSS to manipulate it and put it where you've told it to go. I believe it saves off a brand new image somewhere. But I could be wrong about that. And then Jules says, it's a great feature, loving the default editor more and more, waiting for full site editing. Well, you won't have to wait very long. Okay, next feature in this first article that we're dealing with, because it's a pretty packed one, is this. Now, I wished for this morning. I had a piece of text that for some reason had got italicized, and it was in 2 blocks. I had a paragraph, it was all in italics, and I had another paragraph and it was all in italics, and I didn't want it to happen. So I tried to do this. I tried to highlight the two blocks and turn off the italics. And of course, it doesn't work. You can only do 1 block at a time. Now, this is a feature update which is going to enable you to do that. So long as it's a core WordPress block, that is to say it came shipped with WordPress, then you'll be able to do it. You'll be able to highlight multiple ones. I presume you'll be able to like use Command or Control and skip ones out rather than having to just do them all consecutively. And then you can fiddle with things like text, font color, all of that kind of stuff. So that's nice. Little minor thing, but a cool thing.
It's nice. This makes me wish that the scope of what Gutenberg does and doesn't do was figured out like at the beginning, like a bit more visioning, so that all the people who made the blocks that now are not going to work with this if this ends up in Core, and then the user will have like, the user doesn't know like if a block is a Core one or not. They don't really know. They just know that like this one, this like testimonials type block, some of these more complicated type blocks that have got multiple fields and stuff like that, or a block, let's say, that you created with advanced custom fields or pods or something like that. I imagine that by default it's not going to work. So it's one of those things that it's just gonna cause a bit of friction, I think, moving forward, but it's a really nice feature. It definitely makes sense, and it kind of makes it feel that a block should be always quite a simple thing, and that if you do have a testimonial thing, that maybe blocks should be made of a kind of carousel content block with text blocks inside or something like that, rather than a testimonial block that has all the different fields that you need. So I guess there's still some figuring out of the ideas, and
I would.
How did they call it?
Oh, go on.
How did I name it the last time? Wild West. It's like nobody knows where it goes. Nobody knows what happens. There are so many different block plugins out there. I dare to touch anyone because you don't know. Will they keep up with those rapid pace of changes? I mean, it must be a nightmare to even keep an eye on it. Then you have to support Gutenberg in Core. You have to support Gutenberg, the plugin version. Then you have to make all of that backwards compatible. in the end, because well, when layout changes, people are get angry or whatever. And I don't know. It's. But I agree strongly on the point Paul made with this, like keep the blocks to a bare minimum and combine blocks like generate blocks does, and how I tried to do in Beaver Builder, to only really use those more complicated modules if they really do a much greater job than just putting an image and a text and an icon and stuff is done.
I would say that one thing that I didn't say is that the blocks need to be of the same type, because obviously the options panel here, you know, if you're trying to mix I don't know, a header and a paragraph and change the font in both of them, it doesn't work that way. They have to be the same thing. Otherwise, obviously, the options available over here would be different. And so there's another constraint. But in my case, just about everything that I produce for WP Builds is just paragraphs. It's all paragraphs all the way down. So when this comes, this will actually be really helpful to me. And so because it's helpful to me, I'm delighted.
It's good for the blog writing. It's good for the blog writing type situation. That works really well for that. So again, it's like a, you know, what is Gutenberg supposed to do? Is it to help people write blogs, or is it a full site editor? This feature feels like a really good for its mode when it's in blog editing, but
that's exactly the point.
Yeah. And
I don't know how all those goes into page editing, because they're heading in that direction, and I think everything in Gutenberg feels more like, I'm a blog editor for my blog post, but not for really designing a site.
I'm gonna move this article on because it's so packed with interesting stuff, this release of Gutenberg, and I actually feel, for me at least anyway, this feels like it should be the headline of this article. The fact that you can search and find new blocks within the editor itself. That is to say that if you're trying to achieve something, so in this case, Justin himself has gone and typed grid. He wants to implement a grid, and he doesn't have any plugin which matches the search term grid. And so what it's saying, so if I typed in here, I don't know, shortcode, it would come up. Shortcode would be available to me. From 8.4 onwards, if it can't find a match, it's then going to go out to the repository and say, is there a match? Now, this will be interesting. The fight to get here for plugin or block developers. Who gets this position? How is it decided that grid
Jetpack.
Jetpack. Okay, maybe that's it. But maybe, who knows? I mean, maybe this is. Obviously, at the minute, it's relevance in terms of if you go to the repository or you search for something, it seems to be that installs is a big count. The number of star rating reviews. I'm not entirely sure what wins, but you know, if you type SEO, there's certain ones that rise to the top, and it'd be interesting to see how many are they going to put in. Is it going to be a list of 4 or 5? Do we need this description text? Is the icon going to be enough? But the point is that you'll be able to install this stuff and uninstall it right inside here. Now, this feels fabulous from the usability point of view, the ease of use, but it also seems like there is now zero constraint on your clients installing 74 billion little blocks to achieve things that they probably oughtn't to have been achieving anyway. So I don't know what your thoughts are on this, whether you like it or you think it's silly. It should be on another screen somewhere altogether.
I wonder, is the block directory, does the block directory separate a block set? Like, let's say you got cadence blocks or something like that. Let's say or the UABB blocks, they got like 30 in each set. Does the block directory know to separate them all somehow?
I honestly don't know, but you are able. I do remember reading a while ago the endeavor to be able to tie them together in one bundle, shall we say? But I don't know whether a bundle will appear. My guess is it'll just be one at a time in order to keep your install as lightweight as possible. But I really don't know. I don't have any clarity on that.
Yeah, because some of the block sets have like a exactly. Some of the block sets have like a global pages, a global settings panel and stuff like that, which obviously wouldn't. But I prefer the concept of you know, a block and a plugin is a different thing, and that a block is one simple, maybe there's only like 20 lines of code in a particular block or something, and that you don't get hung up about installing 30 plugins for 30 blocks. It's just such a lightweight way of doing it, but it still feels like you'll be like 0 to 60 blocks in 20 seconds, and then who does the user ask for? Who does the user ask for when it doesn't work?
And the other thing about it is there any? I mean, you and I will probably both know that the adding of a block, all of us and anybody working with WordPress will realize that the adding of a block adds some kind of payload, if you like. It's going to slow things down if you add 4,000 in. But this UI doesn't really seem to paint that picture. It's just, add a block in. I really do wonder if there needs to be some kind of, indication that this is, if you like, installing things. Don't install too many, perhaps some kind of warning. We've noticed that you've installed 100 blocks now. You might want to uninstall ones you're not using and so on. And then the fear, of course, that you've used a block at some point in the past. Can I remove that block? Is that block in use? When did I last use that block? Can I remove it? I don't know. So there's lots and lots to unpack here.
Yeah, I think Berhard just keeps summarizing it nicely with, what is it you're saying?
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a feature-packed update. I'm really.
It is, yeah.
A lot of it.
Well
really
done for all those that worked on it.
Right.
Sorry for the constructive criticism of the concept.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was.
It's not anyone's fault that they're working on these amazing tools, and that there's kind of like people like us sort of picking holes in the strategy and everything. Don't mean to. It's just. You just think, how's that going to work?
Yeah, Chris makes an interesting point. If that's great, because there's only 3 of us on the call this week. Paul's face doesn't get hidden.
Yeah,
he's not. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? What are WP updates going to look like with 192 updates available? Yeah. Not being savvy in terms of putting blocks together or creating blocks. I've no idea what the burden is in terms of, does a block that does something simple consume a far less resources and so on and so forth than a plugin may do? I don't know. So maybe 192 blocks will be completely normal. Maybe it will just dread to think about it. Anyway, thank you. And he's put something else. It absolutely needs to show which page post block is in use. Really needs that. And again, Chris, I have a memory that is going to be part of it, isn't it? There is going to be some page, the installed blocks page will demonstrate.
I remember something about that,
Yeah, I do remember that. And you'll be able to see which ones are orphaned, i.e. not in use anywhere on your website. So yeah, I think you're right, Chris.
But I mean, imagine that how they have to find out if a block is used or not. It's just a big database search, because I don't remember seeing anything that you'd have a registry. This block is now used. So it's like going through all your pages and posts to find where's which one installed. I mean, it's backend stuff and things, but it could be interesting for larger sites. The query.
I have to try this.
Great. Thanks a lot.
So, honestly,
I couldn't even peer over the top of that one.
Oh, that's so good. So good. Thank you. Can we just do that one more time? Because it is funny.
No. Do it again.
Hold on.
You can see me down here. Look. Hello. Still there. I've just got Matt as a hat.
I think that's hysterical. Thank you, Matt. Keep us entertained. That's brilliant. Let's move on. Next one. Okay. So after we do WordPress Core, we come to communities. A few things. This is the toxic one that I don't think I'm going to get involved with, if you don't mind, because I don't want to tread on anything which is going to explode later. But go and read this one. It's all about the utilization of Trac tickets and resolutions becoming more friendly. In other words, things like this, and this not being quite as friendly as they could be. So let's just move along and go to something which is easy to consume. HeroPress. Don't know if you've come across HeroPress, but they're expanding, and I don't know if this article was produced as a sort of a way of people being concerned about what was the plan. But anyway, HeroPress is a site where they publish lots of interesting content about people in the WordPress community, and they're expanding, and they just wanted to let everybody know why they were doing that. So I thought I'd highlight that. I love HeroPress, and I want everybody to read it. And so go and read this article and find out why they're expanding. Do either of you have anything about that? Probably not.
Only that it's quite a mysterious post. It doesn't say exactly what they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
So it just seems that I wonder what's happened. I wonder if they've got some funding or investment or something.
Yeah, I think that's where it's coming from. Yeah. But
good news, because is it Topher, the guy?
Yeah.
What's the person?
Topher de Rosier.
Yeah. So like, if he's been doing it just completely for nothing, as in financially, for all this time, then hopefully they've got some money to keep doing better things that they're doing.
It's such a great endeavor. We've linked to 3 or 4 of their pieces where they've written a really long piece about somebody in the WordPress community who's doing something admirable, and it's kind of a really nice channel for getting people to be aware about something which might otherwise just get hidden and buried because it didn't make it into the WP taverns and so on and so forth. Anyway, we'll move right along. This is another nice one. Again, I'm not going to dwell on this too much, but this is such an interesting endeavor. I don't know of too many companies that are doing this, but it's this 5 for the future thing. And the guys at Web Dev Studio are doing this. And the intention is they're going to give 5% of their time back to WordPress. And obviously, if you're not in the WordPress community, this could be anything, right? It could be 5% of your time into anything. But so if you clock up 100 hours, the Web Dev Studio team are going to you're going to be obliged to put 5 hours back into WordPress. And it seems that they do it all at one time at Web Dev Studios. They chunk it all so that they're all working on things. And there's some really interesting stuff that they've managed to produce. And there's a little list of tweets here about the different things that have happened in those times. So in the same way that HeroPress kind of expand the WordPress community, these guys are working on all sorts of WordPress things in their 5 hours or whatever it might be that they've been given back by the company. As a boss, Paul, would you ever consider something like this?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, like we just had, we're only a 4-person team, but still we're at the size now where we have got to think a little bit about culture in the company. So we were talking just this weekend about whether or not we should, provide some money for everyone to do something related to their fitness, whether that's mental health or physical health or something like that. And to me, this just gives a purpose to people who are working at Web Dev Studios. So they might have a really stressful week, and they're just having a right nightmare with clients or bosses or partners or whatever, but they know that at the end of the week they did something of value that they can look back on. And that's something that I've done a bunch of talks on in the WordPress community about how beneficial to me, in fact, how much it saved me to have been able to give back some stuff to the community. And without that, in those tough times when you're having a really bad day, you haven't got much to look back on other than you just worked for the boss for the last 3 years, and that's all you can kind of show for yourself. So it's nice to be able to give the team the chance to do that as actual part of their official duties. And I think it would do a lot for morale at this time as well, in this sort of time. It's like I said at the beginning, in this job, in this area, you do get to create a lot, and you get rewarded, whether it's your own self-reward or people saying, oh, that's good what you've done there. I think that this will help people's morale a lot. at the moment, and it brings people together as well. You've got a teamwork on some of these things, so
yeah,
it's good.
I don't remember if I don't know if Google still do it, but I do remember Google years ago used to do this sort of 10% time, didn't they, or something, where you'd have like Friday morning or something to pursue some project which would enable Google to be, so things like Google Maps and all sorts of projects came out of this 10% time. But this is slightly different. This is the endeavor here, is to give 5% of your time for something other. And in this case, WordPress. But you can imagine, it wouldn't have to be WordPress. It could be absolutely anything. You could tell your staff to go and help out at the local soup kitchen. But it's just a nice idea. 5% doesn't seem like that much, but after every couple of months, it could add up quite easily to, days and days of actual manpower time. So it's interesting. Matt says he likes the idea. That it's very cool. And he'd love to do something in the spaces that he's working in. So, okay, yeah, keep us updated, Matt, if you do. And forgive me, I'm going to say Dovey. Lost the unicorn. There it is behind his head. Right. Okay. Well, that's nice. I like that article. Okay. Speaking of giving, back on WP Tavern, this is the University of Wisconsin are offering a free WordPress course. Now, I don't believe this is a course that you're going to want perhaps to use yourself. It sounds like a kind of 101 primer for WordPress, but they've got 10 courses. They're not, the other 9 are nothing to do with WordPress, but it's kind of like communication, personal finance. But there you go. You've got a free course if you want to. Maybe give it to a client. Maybe let them know. You've got to subscribe. You've got basically a day. So if you want to go and subscribe, do it by the end of tomorrow. But nice. The fact they're giving that away. I thought that was nice. And
24 hours, does it say? 24 hours of content.
Is that what it says? Yeah, the course is 24 hours and covers a wide range of site creation topics. So content, uploading images, files, basics of optimization. So, the kind of stuff that you could probably teach, but great, for free. Fab.
Yeah, that's a lot of content, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a lot of content.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, presumably, I don't know anything about the University of Wisconsin, but hopefully it's good.
Yeah.
Let's hope so. I can't say I've ever heard of Smash Balloon, but now I have. It's been bought by.
Plugin today.
Did you? Tell me about it. What is it? What does it do?
Well, there's a story about any of the Instagram plugins on WordPress are not allowed to use the word Instagram,
right?
Or IG. So basically, all the Instagram plugins had to change their name. And I'm pretty sure that the backstory of Smash Balloon is that they went, all right, I'll call it a ridiculous name then. If I can't create a plugin that helps promote Instagram, I'm going to call it Smash Balloon. I don't know if it's this one that did that, but that's why there's a lot of the Instagram related plugins have got a silly name, because they all kind of like spoke to each other, all the plugin creators, and said, what are we going to do about this? And came up with just a bit of a protest, bit of a dirty protest sort of thing. We use this plugin all the time on sites where you just want like a little grid of Instagram thing at the bottom. Like loads of our sites at the bottom have got a newsletter sign up, an Instagram thing, and a latest tweet. And we always use this one. It's really easy to use, and there's a pro version as well that gives you a bunch of other things, like you can have more than one Instagram feed on a different site, and that's what we needed today. We're working on a client site, and the client actually has the pro version of the plugin. And this particular website has got its main Instagram feed, but then it has like a sub brand, and it wants to have its own Instagram feed on that particular page. And so we're messing around with this morning.
Nice.
It's really good. It's really good. It's been taken over by that company, Awesome Motive, who own a lot of WordPress stuff now. I think they also own
the big list here. Look, so. This is what this article is actually all about. They've been bought by, as you say, Awesome Motive, who WP Beginner, Opt-in Monster, WP Forms, Monster Insights, all in one SEO pack. That was a recent one, wasn't it? They bought that.
Yeah.
And WP Mail SMTP as well. And it would appear that the founder of Smash Balloon just got on really well. They kind of liked one another's approaches. And so now it's been bought. More coalescing, though. Awesome Motive's quickly becoming quite a powerful force with a real broad range of things in their arsenal.
Real big.
Can I just ask you about? Can I ask you about Instagram, because I am really ignorant generally speaking, but particularly about Instagram, right? This, you are about to see how ignorant I am about Instagram. Is Instagram still all about images, or is it broader than that? Because it seems like everybody's talking about how important Instagram is, and in my head, because I never use it, I still think it's all about images only. But is it more than that?
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, I don't really use it, but
No.
it's also about these, stories which are like moments in life. I think it's more about moments, moments in whether it's your company Instagram, it's like moments in your company, or if it's your person, if it's you, it's your moments in life. And sometimes that's well described in photos or short videos.
Right.
But I know that it's one of the most addictive social networks that people.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because I've never really used it, because I have this impression that it's just basically for pushing photos at. I can't really see an angle for me in there, and so I've never really interacted with it. But the fact that just everywhere I turn, people are talking about it, and somebody's just bought a plugin whose aim is to push stuff to Instagram and so on. It must be huge, but I just don't have any it seems like the kind of thing that, were I 14, which I'm not, you may think I am, but no, I really am not. Yeah, fraud. I can't seem to get a handle on it, and I can't be bothered to go and explore why Instagram's important. So obviously Syed Bhakti, or whatever his name is, who owns Awesome Motive, thinks it is, because he's bought this.
Yeah, well, they've bought that, and they bought a bunch of other kind of similar niche area sort of plugins there. Like Opt-in Monster, Forms. It's all communication. It's communication stuff, isn't it? Searching and communication sort of stuff. But yeah, I've seen some people, because I had my 7 days break from social media a few weeks ago, and I saw it when I came back on. I saw some other people. You start noticing other people talking about it. I saw Paneet from PowerPack saying that he'd been off Instagram for 30 days and was enjoying it, not being on Instagram. And I know it's definitely one of those scrolly things that you kind of just don't know when to stop.
Okay. Eye candy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know that a lot of my friends use it for like just researching. Like, for example, they might want to see what a certain, I don't know, kind of decoration would look like in their house, or they go searching for sofas or the way they want. And that seems to be a really fond use of it for my friends, but I just can't seem to see. Anyway, here we go. Facebook user. By the way, whoever you are, if you click on a little link in the description of this episode in Facebook, you get taken to StreamYard, and it enables you to, you may not wish to, of course, but it enables you to post as yourself. But without that link and the connection, it won't allow it. So anyway, there you go. Lyfe Marketing, lyfe.com/blog/benefits-Instagram. Okay, thank you. Maybe that'll tell me why it's useful. That's great. That's really, really helpful. So there we go. More coalescence in the WordPress space. Bernard, anything to add? Are you an Instagram user?
No. I mean, I have implemented a similar plugin for a client where all the feeds get combined into one, like from Facebook, Instagram, and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't really get the point. But neither does Twitter work for me, nor really Facebook, because I scroll to Facebook, yes, sometimes, but just to keep a little bit in touch with the WordPress community. That's more or less all about it. And on a rarely occasion, I post some images on my private feed just to keep it active, but nothing business related.
Yeah.
I mean, I see the point for businesses if you have imagery which gets attraction, or if you have decoration stuff for like where you can easily transport the feeling and maybe get attention for it. But maybe I'm not the consumer of it, so I'm not going on Instagram and going for hours through images. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel it'd be the kind of place where if you had a product where it being cool was important, like if you own a pair of, I don't know, if you own a company that produces clothing or trainers or something like that, footwear, that would be really useful. But I've never done anything cool in my life. So, you know, I've got no need for for it. The WordPress community is mainly on Twitter, but you can think of Instagram as the first TikTok. You see, you've lost me there because I don't know how to use TikTok either. Yeah, I see more design agencies using it to showcase work. We will come to TikTok later, though. Yeah. But thank you, Dovey. That's great.
You know, one thing, like some of our clients who have a specific niche, working with things like coaches and stuff like that. Like we work white label for some designers who are in the, quite a few of them actually, in the sort of female branding, sort of female personal branding and that sort of community. Instagram is everything to that, to those agencies, those freelance designers.
Right.
All their leads come from there. They can see if a particular designer is like popular on Instagram and is followed by other ones. So for instance, we just started working with a new client just a week ago, and a lot of the other ones that we work with who are in a similar sector, we mentioned we were working with this client. We didn't really know if they were a big deal, and they're like, "You're working with that company? Oh, you know, I really want to be like them. Follow them on Instagram." And they all said, so it was like it was interesting. Yeah. Dovey says female branding is also huge on Pinterest. So it's just it's I'm not saying by any means it's like a female social network, but that particular niche is really well matched to Instagram. Wait, Berhard, do you know Dovey? Do you Redux.io? You obviously know Redux.io.
Are you talking to me?
Berhard. Actually, he's fell asleep.
Sorry.
So, not really. I mean,
you know Redux?
Yeah, of course I know Redux.
Yeah, Dovey, who's commenting there, is the creator of Redux. So,
okay.
Hello. That's great. I'm glad you've added some content.
That's me.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And to bring it full circle,
Redux.io.
Just to complete my ignorant circle, to say, so it started out with, I can't remember, and then we got to how Instagram was like the new TikTok, and now we're finally TikTok is the Instagram of videos. Just to equally confuse matters, I've
got no insight on TikTok. I just know Lee Jackson likes to use it all the time.
But this is nice. I presume this is Andrew Palmer writing this. Could be wrong though. The benefit of Smash Balloon is it brings all your feeds into your website, so it kind of negates the need for a blog, as all the posts are in the web page, fed from whatever social media platform you want. Okay, that lent me a bit of an insight into that. And yes, look, that's me. I made Redux. That's great. I'm glad Paul was on the call today, because that adds a certain benefit. It's because of the spelling errors. The spelling errors. Nicely done, if that was intentional. Okay, let's move on. So that was Smash Balloon being acquired by what is now becoming a very large WordPress company. Now this, I feel, is quite interesting. I don't know where this one came from, but it hit me last week. Maybe they emailed me directly, or maybe it was some Facebook ad. Did anybody see this independently of me showing it to you?
No.
I wonder what you have. Okay, so it's a thing, right?
I stumbled on that last week. I don't know. I did take a look at it, and it's yet another approach on doing hosting. But the funny thing is, it runs on your own WordPress site. So it's like all the other panels are hosted somewhere in the web.
Exactly. And this just seems so interesting. Anyway, sorry, Berhard, please carry on. And
the funny thing is, you have those like hand-egg problem, because if you have no server running WordPress, you can't use the plugin. Because you have no WordPress, so you need a starting point to use it. I didn't look up very deep into it, because they offer a service too, where they likely host your first site or something like that. And it's funny how all those, host your own server, but we do the hard lifting for you services pop up around, and I'm not sure which one of them will survive, which one are the good ones, because you have so many now. It's hard to keep track and to test everything and every one of them.
Right.
But I think it's very interesting, and it's a sign maybe that all those hosting companies might have a harder time for at least our niche, because and I had this discussion a few weeks ago. I find it hard to have a hosting which isn't expensive, because if you have like mom and pop stores, they don't need hundreds of thousands of visitors, but they still want a fast site. And now you have those shared hosting sites which are crap, and you have the tools like Kinsta and the other stuff. So there is a niche in my eyes for, like, I can throw a bunch of WordPress sites on it. I know all of them have no traffic, but I still want a decent server to have backups run properly, and to have, I don't know, to be able to process the images if they upload them. But I know they never will have a high traffic. So I think those tools kind of cater that niche. And Cloudways isn't cheap either. It depends how you use it. So maybe there's a future for stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, so the reason I just thought this was interesting, and when I first saw it, I presumed it was another player, because it seems like services like Cloudways, Run Cloud, and a whole bunch of ones, they got there first. I think I could be wrong, but it feels like Cloudways has been around for the longest, but they help you to manage your server. And then, of course, rivals have come along recently. There's been a few deals in these lifetime groups on Facebook which have offered new ones that we've never heard of before. But then this came along, and I just assumed it was one of those, WP Cloud Deploy. I just assumed it was a SaaS service which enabled you to do that, but they were niching in on WordPress. And then, of course, read a bit further, and well, there it is, a WordPress plugin. I just this really interests me. I do love using things like Main WP, which is a WordPress plugin to handle what Manage WP, a SaaS platform, does. And that plugin, Main WP, has worked flawlessly for me. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. So I know this stuff can be pulled off. But what's interesting here is I really think they're in this space because of things like this. When you see things like WP Ultimo Ready, like, that's not an accident. And there's a lot of people who find that, the configuration of DNS and all that kind of stuff with WAS, with a multi-site network, again, multi-site ready, difficult. So if they've taken that on, that's really interesting. Let's see who they play with. DigitalOcean, Linode, this word that I can never pronounce, but I'm going to say Volta. And now you're all going to say, no, it's Vulture, but I don't know. EC2, Lightsail, and more on the way. And I'm just intrigued. I think this is the sort of thing I could well dip into my pocket for. What about you, Paul? Liking this or thinking, no, I'll pass?
Well, they'd have to do a lot of work to prove that it's like safe.
Yeah.
And also business-wise stable. I mean, the pricing is at least kind of reassuringly not mega cheap. So you can see that you can do that. So it's not, I'd be really worried if that said like $5 a month or something like that, and it was a WordPress plugin, and because this is a niche within a niche, I think. So you've got the amount of people that are currently happy to look at something like Run Cloud or GridPane or Server Pilot and Ploy and those sort of tools. And then within those, that you'll have some people, using Cloudways, Cloudways. And you'd have to be feeling quite cowboy to just try this,
Wild
just to try it. Yeah, I mean, it's WordPress and the Wild West seems to be kind of, seems to be hand in hand at the moment. I'm not saying this is cowboy in any way, but where is the background? Have they got another company that has a SaaS version of this that they've proved themselves knowing about it? They've got, there you go, they've got an about us page. So
there is a service where they offer you the hosted version of the plugin fairly cheaply. There was a link. I did see it at the point, like for a few bucks a month. They host it for you, but they limit it, like how many servers you can manage and stuff like that.
Do you know what though? It just no. You know what? I think I would give this a go with a bunch of personal sites just to see how it all panned out. But you know, they seem to give it a year. This could be really interesting. Anyway, good luck, guys. Whoever you are, maybe we can read.
There's the service. Fire Up WP is the service.
Okay. Yeah. Well, all I can say
there's
is
a comparison page as well, so you can sort of see. You know, I know these comparison pages are unbelievably
biased. Yeah. Oh, look, you can save £3,601 if you don't use Pantheon. I could save that much by not using Pantheon, and yeah, I mean, save quite a lot of money by not using Pantheon, can't you? Interesting. Anyway, there you go. WP Cloud Deploy. Berhard, were you going to add something just to finish that?
Yeah, because you can't compare hosting from a full service partner like Pantheon to doing it yourself. Of course, it's a different price tag, but well, Pantheon you can call and get help, and they have, I mean, the features that Pantheon has, like for staging and develop. I did take a quick look once. It's impressive. It's like all source controlled and stuff like that, and you can't even do stuff on a live. You have to go over staging to get it live. So it's like you need it for a larger site. You have a test, you have stuff like that, and I can't compare that kind of hosting to what the next mom and pop stop shore needs, because that's a different kind of beast. I don't know.
Yeah, the more I look at this, the more I think I'm going to give this a go and just see what occurs. It probably won't be this week, maybe not.
It'd be safer to install it on a local machine.
Right.
I think that would be a safer thing to do.
You can't use it locally because it needs back
to
and forward connection.
Right. Need ports open and things like that.
And then the concern is that you know that they're not completely in control of their security aspects. So if there's a WordPress major security thing, that's basically the thing that just worries me.
If you're using like Nathan uses main VP. Oh well, if a main VP has an issue, your site has two maybe. But when you can secure it, you can have blocks on IP addresses. You can have, but then you again have to secure the first server with the one you start. So it's not that easy anyway.
Yeah. This the Facebook user whose name I sadly don't know. Maybe somebody could just tell me who it is, because Paul, maybe hop in the Facebook group and just tell me who's. Yeah, thank you. Cloudways, Run Cloud, Convencio, GridPane, etc. This may affect them. Okay, time will tell. And then Chris says this is a WP plugin to create servers from. Yes, basically, I think. So you'll need a unique WP instance to deploy from for safety. Yes, I'm presuming that feels like the way you'd go about it, right? If you were going to do this seriously, you'd have a really hardened version of WordPress somewhere where you were really on top of it all and made sure that it was as secure as possible. That, of course, is the Achilles heel of this model, isn't it? It's Andrew Palmer.
It's Andrew Palmer, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Andrew. That was really helpful. Okay. So there we go. That's just an interesting service. You can check it out at wpclouddeploy.com, all as one word. Really like that. What else have we got? Just for Matt's benefit, there's the Kinster ad, just in case you were worrying that I hadn't showed it this week. So there it is. In fact, look, I'm just going to make it go up and down. How nice is that? Look, a bouncing Kinster ad. And a bouncing A/B split test ad as well. Right. Plugins, themes, and blocks. We've got a few things here. Control block design via EditorPlus. I don't know if I've got time to go into this now. If one of you urgently wanted to talk about this, it is quite interesting, but I'm quite happy to move on. Anybody want to urgently do this one?
I didn't read that
but
one.
It's interesting.
No, it is interesting. Maybe I'll come back to this on another day. But it's this guy, Munir Kamal, who, as far as I can work out, doesn't sleep. because he's just doing so much stuff at the minute. Anyway, he's created this EditorPlus thing. I would say it's worthy of attention. Maybe another week we'll get to it, but not this week. However, this one I think is worthy of attention. This is cool. This is the Wholesome Code brand. A guy called Matt Watson has produced this thing called the Wholesome Publishing plugin, and it's dead simple. Really nice idea. This, can't believe we don't have this. You can add comments at the side of a WordPress post, like you would in a Google Doc. So let's say that Paul and I are collaborating on a post. He can make little comments about the post itself, which I think is really nice. But also this. Why isn't this in Core? This just seems so really clever. You can save a block as a draft. So you've written, I don't know, half an article, and you're just not sure about one paragraph where you might have not fact-checked it right, but you know it should go in. You can just switch that block off. The paragraph disappears. I'm hoping it's not just commented out in the code. I'm hoping it's gone. But that just seems so cleverly obvious. I think that's great. Was there anything else in? No, that was it. I like that. That's it. Okay. Yeah, here we go. It's Munir Kamal. Yeah, he's doing amazing stuff. He was on WP Tavern repeatedly over the last few weeks because of the amount he's pushing out. I've forgotten what it is.
Gutenberg blocks, ACF block suite.
That was what it was. Yes,
That's
thank you. That was really helpful. Yeah.
Just looking at his list of plugins at the moment, he's done loads of stuff.
Yeah, there's absolutely tons of stuff in there, isn't there? He's really seems to be very, very busy. Right.
Even
what
with
else?
The whole Wild West thing, Wild West thing that Berhard was talking about, there's still huge appetite to be jumping into Gutenberg and block editor, isn't there? There's like still people are going for it, even if they are creating something like what he's created here. It might be defunct because someone does something next week in the next version. It's like, oh, that's completely ruined. But I think just good energy in that area at the moment.
Like, it's always a gold rush in the Wild West. I mean, if you're the first one with the
yeah, that's true. That's the defining feature of it, isn't it?
If you can accomplish something and do it properly and keep on the wave, like on the development side, then for sure you can set your big foot for the release of all the other stuff with Gutenberg, like page editing and stuff like that. And I mean, it's the future. If you want it or not, it's the future. So, I mean, there's opportunity, and I think all those people are going for that opportunity. It's funny. I mean, seeing in WordPress what happened in the last few months or years, like you get the feeling, oh, it's everything there, and then there is the it feels like the 202nd Forms plugin, and you don't know which one is the right one to bet on, and will I use it in 3 years, or do we have moved on? It's like all these limited deals, and do I need it or not?
Probably not.
Who knows?
Well, I think this guy is interesting, along with people like Jeffrey Carandang, who's got his editor's kit. You know, it's just freely available. I think that I'm pretty sure there's a pro version of editor's kit, but certainly there's a free version. And, you know, somebody builds the draft feature into the block editor, and suddenly it's like, that should be there. I just can't see any downside to putting that in. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a down. You accidentally put them all on draft and then freaking out because nothing's on the page. Anyway, I just thought that was wonderful.
You know what we were talking about earlier about the directory, the block directory, and how does it figure out who ends up at the top? Well, you know, Google had that problem, 20 years ago or something, and there was easy ways to get to the top. And you would assume that the algorithm for how you get to the top of the plugin or blocks directory is going to get more intelligent over time. And you think, a chap like this who's got a strong pedigree of lots of plugins with lots of uses, maybe there's a good strategy for people these days to kind of do everything you can to make sure you're at the top of the algorithm when your absolute game changer plugin comes out, and you want it at the top of the list, that it kind of looks and says, well, you've got 15 plugins with average 10,000 people using each of them. You clearly worth putting at the top, because if you think about Google's algorithm, it puts at the top what it wants to make sure keeps its product Google good. So that's, so Google doesn't want SEO people to try and trick Google. Google would be useless if SEO people could do anything they wanted and that they weren't constantly thwarted. So I think it's going to be the same with the block thing. When you've got so many thousands of blocks, the block directory needs to have a way to push the best stuff to the top. So I think the start will be there.
Yeah. And Dovey says, of course, he's working on Iceberg with Rich Tabor as well, isn't he? So there's that. Blimey, some people, honestly, it's like a markdown editor for creating stuff in Gutenberg. So you've got zero distractions. It's a very, very limited array of editing tools. If you just Google Iceberg WordPress, it's got like a little penguin icon, and it's really nice. It's really nice. We showed it a couple of weeks ago, but it's lovely. That was a day where you probably had a day off. The news, right. I'm going to press on.
Plugins. He's also got that. What is it? Editor's Kit.
Yes.
I think Jeffrey Kernberg.
Yeah.
It's a pretty heavy, not heavy as in weight of server. I mean, a lot of work went into that clearly as well. So, Iceberg is paid for. I can't remember what the fee is. I think it's 49 or 149 or something like that. But Editor's Kit has a very large free version. Okay, very quickly, because we're fast running out of time. Okay, just a couple of things. First one is that Body Boss. Now, I've not used this, but I know that quite a few people have. So, for example, a lot of the things that Vito did around creating conferences, they use Body Boss, Jan Koch, and so on. They've got this lifetime deal, which I reckon runs out today, maybe. Anyway, you can see it's not like AppSumo. They're charging real money, but I think if you're going to build those kind of websites, this might be a worthwhile investment. And the other one was Breezy have got 15% off as well. And there's a link there. Oh, you have to use the code. Dimitri from Breezy reached out and said you will give you a code for that, but it's 15% off if you want, for cloud and the plugin. And there's a bunch of other things as well. I like this, by the way. I don't know if anybody saw this. I bought this and I really like it. It's called Crello. It's on AppSumo, and it's a simple image editing tool, and it's really nice. And then there's live chat and, the usual stuff. Let's move on. We did an episode with James Rose, the always intelligent James Rose, about automating things. He's a huge fan of automating things. He mostly does it with Zapier, but he's also got a product called Content Snare, which enables you to sort of hopefully automate a lot of getting stuff off your clients. But anyway, he likes to automate all the things. And so I had a chat with him about that, and it was a really nice episode. Automate some things, don't automate everything is the message. But he's got a course teaching you how to use Zapier. And I think there's a few people that I know have been through it and thought it was really good. Crello is awesome. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good. So that's good. And what else have we got? This is me and Sabrina. I've put a playlist together on YouTube. If you click on the link, you'll be able to see the episodes. We'll have a third one in there by tomorrow. It's a fun series that we're doing about launching a WordPress plugin. That's all the WordPressy stuff I've got. Have you guys got room for one more minute? Yeah.
Should we do one non-WordPressy thing? Because it's quite nice. Let's do...
I would just sit here all day if you want.
Okay. Yeah. I'll go in a minute, and you can just look. TikTok. Yeah. TikTok. Yeah, apparently YouTube are now going to be rivaling TikTok. They're doing a 15-second thing. So apparently, if you use your phone to upload videos to YouTube now through the YouTube app, you'll be limited to 15 seconds because they're trying to push what is apparently the ever popular TikTok. Again, no idea. I don't even know how it works. But There you go. So if you want to shoot videos on your phone using the YouTube app that's longer than 15 seconds, in the future you won't be able to. You'll have to use your camera and then upload them to YouTube, which is a bit old school, but there you go. And this is the last one. I love this. I so love this. This is Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic. And the reason I love it is because, I love SpaceX. I love the whole going into space thing. But SpaceX, it's like so unattainable. It's like a rocket, whereas this is a plane. You just get in it on the ground, strap yourself in, they bolt it onto the back of a bigger plane, as you can see, and then at some high altitude, it just drops off. That moment must be awful. Just that, the biggest road bump of your life. And then it fires. And when it fires, it turns into a rocket and it just goes straight up into space, sits on the edge of space. You just stare out the big round windows and then it comes down later. And what's so clever about this is the wings go up when it's in space. And so it slows it down. So there is no re-entry heat. Well, there probably is, but it's going sufficiently slowly. It's going sideways, I'm imagining, rather than straight down, that it doesn't heat up. So you don't have all those problems of re-entry. So this thing, I presume they land it on a runway and then give it a clean. Off they go again. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Who wouldn't? There you go. That was my little 2-minute.
And they've not only done that, they've also invented a plane with 2 planes that stick to each other with a middle wing.
Look at that.
Richard just randomly just done that as well.
It's just so cool that if you YouTube Virgin Galactic, so this is their second flight, and it felt like I could be wrong about this because I don't know the credentials of the people on the plane, but it really did feel on one of the videos like the people sitting in the back, who weren't obviously the pilots, that they were just civilians, albeit very wealthy civilians, because I think you've got to pay, it's akin to buying a cheap house, but you can go up into space for what is, for the first time ever, affordable to people who are presumably millionaires and above.
Millionaires, not billionaires.
Yeah, right. And you can go up. I think it's quite short. It's it's a number of minutes. It doesn't go right up. You can't see the whole Earth. I think you can see the curve of the Earth, and it's black, and there's the Earth down below you. But incredible. Okay, so it's a 100. What does that say? Is that 100,000? How many zeros are there? $100,000. Yeah, I thought it was 149, but I stand corrected, Heinrich. I haven't looked for ages. So it's not ridiculous. Well, it is ridiculous. I'm not going into space for $100,000.
Well, it's like a professional sports person's weekly wage or something.
Oh yeah. Lionel Messi, all he has to do is kick a ball once, and he can go into space.
Enough money to go and do it. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and on that injustice, we'll end it. Thank you, you two. Very enjoyable chat. Really
Pleasure.
Appreciate that.
Pleasure.
Surely you can see the whole Earth. I don't. Oh, I see. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, it's flat all the way down. It's just one thing after another. You can't see the whole thing, I don't think. I'm not sure. I'll go and watch the videos again. I think it's occupying quite a lot of your viewport. Right. Paul, Bernard, anything happening this week of great excitement? Maybe if we start with Bernard.
Well, I think I told it in the beginning of my client, which is a little crazy. No, not really. I mean, doing work, enjoying life, the way to go.
That'll do it. That's a good enough week in my books. Paul?
Just need to get a lot of stuff done, and that's it for this week. I've got to get a lot of stuff done and stay focused and work hard on client projects mainly.
Sounds like you've managed to, right, really, from some of the conversations that we've had, I hope you don't mind sharing, it sounds like you've become a very productive little person. Why did I say that? I'm so sorry. That was really condescending. That's right. Yeah, sorry. You've become very productive over the last couple of weeks. You've had an epiphany.
Quite productive. Yeah. So just sometimes it's just about your state of mind, isn't it? And how
Yeah.
positive or negative you are at any certain point about the direction you're going. If you're kind of, walking towards a noose, you're not going to be kind of like jumping around, like, great, I can walk towards this thing and then that's the end. But if you feel like you're going in the right direction, sometimes there's a bit more spark, isn't it? Sometimes, that's what you need. Sometimes.
I'm pleased that it's all working out for you. That's great. Tiny Paul at Tiny Paul.
Says Chris, who's about that big on my screen.
Yeah, Tiny Chris.
I'm
Tiny
4
Chris
times bigger than you on the screen, Chris.
It's going to be a fight. I better end it before the fight actually starts. Thanks, guys. Stick around for a moment if you don't mind. But everybody, thank you so much for commenting. Really appreciate it.
Everybody.
Have a good day. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.